Hello. Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. I've had tech problems and I still don't know if this is gonna upload. We'll see. Um, I might just be talking to myself at this point. But we'll surely find out. Yep. Okay, it's not moving. I just plugged in my charger there. That's what that was. I was gonna just continue not making videos and just wait until I got better technology, better setup. Maybe, I was like, this is not working out for me right now. I don't really have the tech I need. I don't really have the resources at my disposal. But excuse me, just ate a sandwich. But this whole coronavirus thing and the information I found out about it is outraged me so much. I have to talk about it, and I have to post a video. It's not enough just talking to the people that I know and that I, live around and work around in my daily life, I mean, I don't, especially now with this whole quarantine bullcrap, I'm not bumping into a lot of people, And if I am, it's not the right environment, like Walmart. No one wants to talk to you for 30, 40 minutes at Walmart if they don't know you. Or even just 5 minutes. No one wants to talk to you about these sort of things. And a video is a more apt approach for this sort of thing. Frankly, I am appalled at the lack of outrage. For everyone who says we live in an outrage culture and we live in this country where people get outraged about every little thing, apparently that's not true. Now, I do agree that we get outraged over stupid, petty squabbles and things that don't really matter. But we never get outraged, it seems, in this day and age about things that really do matter. At least not most of us. Or maybe never's too strong a word. Rarely. And with this, you think this would be the thing. Even if you account for the fact that people are selfish and they're, all caught up in their own lives and we lack the selflessness we used to have and we lack the generosity that we used to have. Okay, let's take that all into account. Our culture's devolved, sure. All these things have gone wrong with our country. We have the highest percentage of atheists ever. People aren't going to church anymore. We're watering down our belief systems, whether it be Christianity or whether it be conservatism or any of these things. And the reason I use quotes is because what is conservatism anymore? Even the people who are supposedly on the fringes, who were like libertarians or anarchists, or the people who are supposedly not anarchists, let's say like fringe groups like the Libertarian Party or like the Democratic Socialists, right? On the right you get the Libertarians, on the left you get the Democratic Socialists. You think you would see them sticking to their principles, at least, because they're on the fringes. No one likes them anyway, right? And you don't. Bernie Sanders kowtows to Joe Biden, and half the libertarians are too offended if you say a racist comment, even if it's a joke. So you don't really see it until something like this happens. And now I'm seeing it all in perspective. I thought there were more principled people out there. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. Now, there are millions of people like me, but not the millions and millions that I thought it was. I thought it was tens of millions of people. No, it's maybe a couple million. It's a very small percentage of this country. And it's shocking to see this. I look around and I see a bunch of cowards who are just watching their rights get taken from them. We now have new numbers on the coronavirus, updated numbers. And it turns out, yeah, it's just old people and sick people. Mainly old sick people who are dying from this. And yeah, it turns out that USC, University of Southern California, by the way, a left-wing source, they want more government power. They want this to be worse than it is. Okay? Their numbers, in their study they recently done, they started doing tests to see if people had already built up antibodies to the coronavirus. If you've already built up antibodies, it means you've had it. Well, they tested all these people, and it turns out way more people had it and didn't have symptoms. So, now, the new number for mortality rate is 0.2. And then the mortality rate, if you aren't old and you don't have pre-existing conditions, drops to 0.02. You can look this up. Basically, the flu is more deadly every single year, even with healthy people. This is not even as bad as the flu. The only reason it's sort of bad is because we don't have a vaccine and we don't have medication aimed at the side effects yet. Or we do, but it's in testing, and part of that's also government overreach because, God forbid, if it weren't for the government, we would already be testing stuff. The fact that we still aren't really testing, like, what's that stuff? The malaria drug and all that. I forgot the name of it. Chloroquine, that's it. The fact that we're not testing that at this point, that we're still waiting on that, really shows you something. Get it through your head, guys. Your government doesn't have your best interests in mind, and we have the largest government in world history. I'm just wondering when you're going to wake up. I want to start cussing and screaming because I can't believe how complacent you are. You should be angry. You should be mad at your leaders. They signed off on a $2 trillion stimulus. Over 99% of the money didn't even go towards the coronavirus. $50 million went towards raising salaries for government workers, specifically your congressmen and your senators. And then these supposed conservatives, well, there's a lot of stuff in the bill I didn't like, but I signed it because people need the money. People meaning you, right? Like with your salary raise? And what do you mean people need the money? A crummy $1,200. You can do the math. It comes out to something like 30, it comes out to something like 40 billion. That's nothing. That's a tiny portion of the entire bill. I'm not saying 40 billion is nothing. If I had $40 billion, I'd be crazy rich. I wouldn't know what to do with that kind of money. I would have to give it away. Not, oh, I'm giving it away out of my moral conscience. I can't do anything with that kind of money. I would have to give it away. I would just be sitting on money. I know myself. I'm frugal no matter how much money I have on me. And I could have $40 billion and I'd still be like, yeah, but maybe I don't want to buy that just yet. Because I'm weird like that. It doesn't matter because you can't spend through that kind of money anyway. Even if my personality completely changed and became a big spender, I have to give that kind of money away. I'm not saying $40 billion is nothing. I'm saying in comparison to this $2 trillion bill, which now means the money our government spent in just this year, $6 trillion. That's a record high. And not only is that a record, it jumped because of the bill. It's unprecedented. Before we were spending like $4 trillion. Now we're going to have like a $3 trillion. We were spending 4.5 to 4.8, something like that. Now we're going to have close to a $3 trillion deficit just from this year. Oh, and by the way, you got unfunded liabilities and all that stuff. Oh yeah. Let's not forget about all that. That's important. But even if we're talking about on-budget debt, no one's mad about it. The MAGA people are still backing Trump. I know, I talked to him. I live with one of them. I'm not going to say who the person is, but I tell him, like, Trump's doing this too. And it's just like, he gets mad. There's a look on his face. Because he can't refute me. He knows I'm right. But Trump's going to fix America. No person is going to fix America. That's the people's job. All right, I'm getting a little off topic here. Let me get back to why this is so outrageous. These new numbers come out, right? These new numbers come to light. No one seems to care. No one knows about this. You can't tell me people don't have social media, people can't look this stuff up. They are. There's no way they're not. All right? We already know that the, IHCC, something like that, some panel or whatever, they downgraded the deaths in America to 60,000. We already know that. We also already know that they're including pneumonia and the flu in COVID-19 numbers. So they're combining the numbers of influenza, flu, and COVID and saying they're all the same. Well, they're not. If you look at the charts right now, it says 0 deaths from the flu and 0 from pneumonia. We all know that's bullcrap. Now, there are other types of coronavirus. There are other strands of corona that cause the flu, so they're doing it to be safe. But why wouldn't you test that out? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you actually try to see if it was the coronavirus? It seems to me like they're being lazy on purpose. They shut down the economy, and they're still calling for shutdowns and keeping it going. Both the right and the left. This whole idea of like, oh, these Republicans and these Democrats, they just don't agree on anything. No, they agree on almost everything. That's the problem. It's the opposite. Supposed conservatives like Steve Hilton on Fox News is saying, well, we need to shut down all the states. We need to have mandatory shutdowns. In states like Wyoming, Montana, a few others, there's about 10 states left that don't have mandatory stay-at-home orders. Well, there's a reason for that. It's called population density. Wyoming's the third least densely populated state. Montana's second least densely populated. Wyoming has the lowest population of any state. Okay? Have you been there? My father has been to Wyoming and has driven through it. He's been to Casper. Casper is one of the biggest cities there. It's like 55,000 people. And then you got Cheyenne, which is like 66,000. So just between those two cities, you have about 120,000 people, roughly. I don't know what the exact numbers for the cities are, so I'm just rounding down to 120. What? So right there, you have a quarter of the state's population. Right there. Wyoming's 586,000 people. I think it was the last. I don't know. I think that's like the estimate. It's under 600,000 people. Right there, you have like a quarter or a fifth. Well, really about a fifth of the state's population in two cities. Then you got other places like Gillette, right? You got other towns. You got suburbs around Cheyenne. Like, the point is that there are huge expanses of land there where no one lives. I've been told by people who have driven through Wyoming, they said there are parts of the highway where you're driving through and there's not even farmland. There's no fences. It's just open grass. There are still areas of the country out there that are just grassland. They haven't even been farmed. That's how low the population density is. So the point I'm making is that you're going to tell that state to shut down, and then a very densely populated state like, say, New Jersey, the most densely populated, they too should have the same rule. You know what I mean? So they should both have the same rules. One state, it makes more sense to have a mandatory shutdown. The other state, it doesn't. But here's the thing. It doesn't make sense anyway because they lied. They lied about the numbers. I was right about this. I told people. And I wish I'd done a video about this sooner, because I was right then. And then you can look at my video today, and I'm right now. I told people, I said, this coronavirus is being way overblown. It's not as deadly as you think. The whole idea, they were already caught in lies. They said, oh, this 19-year-old died and he had no underlying symptoms. And it turns out he had leukemia. Really? He had leukemia and he was going through chemo. He was on his way out. And some of the underlying conditions that people have aren't considered. They have a general idea of what underlying conditions are: cancer, diabetes, immunodeficiency disorders. But there are other underlying conditions that aren't technically considered to matter with COVID, but could still affect it. Like, what if you have a blood disorder or something? Something wrong with the platelets in your blood cells, or whatever. Platelets in your blood, or you have some other disease that's not technically an immunodeficiency disorder, but is still detrimental to your body, that may not it may not have respiratory problems with it. You may not have lowered immunity per se, but who knows, maybe the disease you have attacks your body and then you do have complications. The point, I'm not a doctor, okay, so don't take what I just said there as gospel, but the point I'm making is that there are other things they haven't included yet, because this is still a new strand, a new virus. Even so, the point is that people dying without underlying conditions, the numbers are very low. They said 17 and under in New York City, the epicenter of this. For people 17 and under, the amount of people that died were 3 people. All had underlying conditions. From the age group 18 to 44. Something like 250 people died, or 230 something like that. You know how many died that didn't have underlying again, we only have like a small group of diseases and conditions that we right now we classify as underlying conditions. That list could grow, okay? Even so, with that limited list, you know how many people died that didn't have underlying conditions from 18 to 44? 25. 25. I'm sorry, no. I think it was a couple thousand from 1840. I'm not saying. I don't know how many cases are in New York City right now. I think it's thousands and thousands of cases. So it's like 25 out of thousands of cases, right? The point is that, excuse me, they were wrong. Okay? It turns out to be the old and sickly. And even with the old and sickly, the death rate's low. Even before this new information came out that I'm talking about now, they said the rate of death for people over the age of 80 was only 15%. And you say, oh, that's high. But think about it. You're over the age of 80. Statistically, you're older than average for age of death. Average age of death in America is 78, 79 years. So, if you're in your 80s, you hit the jackpot. You have longevity. So, the older you get, the weaker your body gets naturally, your immune system. You should, if this virus is so bad, the death rate should be 80%. Or even like half, but it's not. It's 15%. It's less than a sixth. Is that correct math? Yeah. The point is that they were wrong. Now, do you believe me when I say your government does not have your best interest in mind? All these statists out there. By the way, I'm included in that. I'm technically a statist, but I'm not. I'm a menarchist. I think we need government, but very little. But to all the people right now who are, I guess you'd call them statists, because I don't know, I'm not really a statist. I don't worship the state. I think it's necessary to have a small government, but I don't worship the state. I'm talking about the religion of statism here, okay? I wonder, how is it working out for you? We'll see this pandemic, that's why we need a government. Really? Well, we're watching them screw this up. There's a lab in Washington State, and this is old news by now, but there's a lab in Washington State that was going to do research on chloroquine. And they were waiting for the FDA to approve them, because you got to jump through all these hoops. They said, screw it, and they just started testing it. Because it was a private lab, and again, private, free market, and they have to wait on our government to approve them test. People are dying. Like banning experimental drugs and all, you're killing more people than you're saving. But our government doesn't care about that because they care about power. And they just gained a ton of power, and you guys gave it to them.